Woof. What do you make of the identity narrative with these Badgers?
Yeah, I buy into that, and I can't remember if it was your show or something else. I was a little bit hesitant after the 3-game winning streak to say that the identity is there because it looked good, and they were running the ball defensively. I thought they had taken a step forward, but at the time, I wanted to see it against better competition. And I think what we've seen the last couple of weeks, and especially on Saturday, is that identity they thought they had doesn't hold up against better teams. You can't. I mean, the Big Ten is pretty simple. It has been for 40, 50 years. You got to run the ball. You got to stop the run. And they couldn't do either on Saturday in Iowa City. And that's why they ended up on the wrong side of a 42-10 beatdown. So it's disheartening. It's discouraging. I think that's the one thing that stood out in Fickell's postgame press conference. So I thought he just looked discouraged, like he had no answers. He knew he doesn't have the horses, and I think he's maybe starting to wonder if he's got the right scheme to get this done.
So, who is a successful passing team in the traditional Big Ten before we bring in Oregon, USC, etc.? Of the traditional Big Ten, is Ohio State considered a pass-oriented team?
No, I mean, what I like about Ohio State is they've got balance. They can pass the ball, but I still think when all is said and done, Ohio State has traditionally had a really big offensive line and can ram the ball down your throat. That team is loaded with talent, and especially at wide receiver, and has been for years now. But I still think they can run the ball. I would say Purdue traditionally for a long time had been the team that kind of went against the grain in the Big Ten and could pass the ball. Yeah.
Nebraska tried this to change their identity, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, Bill Callahan. That did not go well.
So let's just get back to Wisconsin football then. How hard can it be? That would necessarily probably require changing out your offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and so I thought change needed to be made. I thought the offensive system needed to be tweaked right around the time Paul Chryst was fired, and I thought they would. If Jim Leonhard was the successor, I thought he would do that. I thought he would, bring in some RPO stuff and introduce a little bit, not a drastic change like we're seeing now, but just a more of a modern, get to the modern football is being played right now. I think they've gone too far the other way, and that's part of it. But not having the guys to do it, I think, is what hurts the most. They don't have the quarterbacks to do it. I don't think they have the athletes to do it right now. And it's starting to show. They know who they want to be. They don't have the guys to get them there.
Jim, do both coordinators survive? The rest of are on the are they both employed? Sorry, at the end of this year.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday at Lambeau. I can't see him gassing both guys. Last year he fired the offensive line coach.
Correct.
This year, I could see the offensive coordinator, Phil Longo, being gone. I don't see him making household changes. Tressel is one of his guys and has been for years. So I don't know. I would be surprised if both of those guys, are unemployed come December. It just
one felt, of them. Yeah, it just felt afterwards when you listened to Luke talk that there felt like there was going to be a change. He didn't say it, but it felt like at the end of this year, there was going to be a strong evaluation of figuring out who the heck we are.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, some of the decisions have to be made pretty quickly. The old days, you could wait till the bowl game ends and decide then, and then have a guy in place by the spring signing period. Well, that's changed. I mean, the spring signing period doesn't mean as much anymore. They have this early signing period. You need, especially in the case of an offensive coordinator, you got to go out and get one right away, because if he's got a quarterback that is attached at the hip to him, you want that guy in place right away. So I think some of these decisions are going to have to be made pretty quickly, like in the next month. That's why I think Tressel survives. I just would be surprised if Tressel is fired. I think we've seen enough progress on that side of the ball. They need dudes. I mean, they got to go out and find players. That's at the heart of this issue. I don't know if he'll be fired.
Number one, Oregon comes to town in 2 weeks. Tell me they're number one. They should be number one when they get here. Last time number one came to town, was it Ohio State?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So let's write that one off. At Nebraska, and then the Axe game to finish the year at Camp Randall. Is there one win in those three to get bowl eligible?
Yeah, I'm definitely throwing out the Oregon game as not being one of those opportunities. I think they can get one of the last two. I don't know which one. I mean, the thing is, Nebraska is almost in as bad a shape as they are. Both teams will need a sixth win at that point, I think, to get bowl eligible. That's kind of that's a big game for a lot of reasons. But Minnesota, I thought that was a win, for the better part of the season. That
Yeah.
team is
I know
better.
it's changed quick.
Minnesota's
playing better.
Playing better football.
Good win against Illinois.
All right. Jimmy is
So
always.
I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know.
Okay, good. Fair enough. That's an honest answer. We'll take an honest answer. Jim, thank you for your time as always.
Yeah, have a good week, guys.
Jim Polzin, brought to you by Geis Garage Doors. Wow, time's flying. Top of 8 coming. Let's get to Wayne Larrivee. How did it look from his booth vantage point yesterday at Lambeau Field? And then Mike Heller after that to lock horns with us on a Monday morning. Stay with us. Pick six time. Not so excellent. Not excellent. Wow, that was a real deflating moment last night. You heard the call right here on your home of the Green Bay Packers, the game. Wayne Larrivee joins us right now. He is brought to you by Steam Fitters Local 601. Learn more by visiting steam601.org and by National Fire Sprinklers Association. Visit them at nfsa.org. Wayne, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So after the game, LaFleur asked about the pick and the picks by Jordan Love. He's got 10 on the year. That's tied for most in the league. And he said it's getting kind of annoying to have to answer him. And he also said, Wayne, that I never question what he's trying to do. I thought that was an interesting thing for a coach to say. Butchie has tried to push me off of that square, saying I'm reading too much into it. What do you make of LaFleur with that full backing of his quarterback who has thrown another really bad pick six?
Yeah, LaFleur's not going to hang him out to dry, and that's admirable on Matt's part. But I think obviously, as Matt said, it's starting to get a little annoying. It's very interesting in that ball game yesterday and how it went. If you had not seen the game and picked up the newspaper and didn't know the score, and you saw the Packers had 411 yards to 261 for Detroit, if you saw what was going on, I mean, the longest play on the ground for Detroit was 18 yards. Their longest pass catch was 26. The Packers, had 138 yards rushing. Their long run was 37. Passing game, 41 was their long play for the game. They also had a 19-yarder. You would have thought the Packers would have won this game, right? Baseball, you can pick up a box score and pretty much know what the heck happened the night before without seeing the game. Football, you can't. You have to see the game. And, this game played out in just mistakes. Not so much turnovers. Yes, that turnover irrevocably changed the football game. It was the same type of turnover in many respects as the pick six in L.A. Yeah. This one, however, kind of sealed the deal, didn't it? 17-3 at halftime. Wasn't that the score at that point in time? At any rate, or 10-3, and then the
10-3 and then 17.
Then they come out and score on the first drive of the second half. Now it's 24-3, right? That pick changed everything, and the pick was thrown at the line of scrimmage as Jordan was rolling out to his right. There was so many people there, including 91. I thought 91, Onzarike, the lineman, actually intercepted, and then I saw all of a sudden here's Kirby Joseph in the end zone with it. But I mean, that's how much traffic was there.
Yeah,
and so
DB did not. Yeah, DB did not belong in that scrum, and that's why it was easy to go, wait, what? And some are saying that that's part of what got Jordan Love crossed up, is that he didn't expect the guy there. Right. And those are all valid things. I just think that he had a chance to step up and hit Reed, who was screaming wide open, and he didn't feel confident or didn't see it or didn't feel it.
It didn't look like he had time, Czabe.
No, he had time. He had time. He had a lane. It's just I don't think he feels confident right now in his legs. Both his knee is probably still not fully right. He's a little bit spooked by that, and his hamstring or his groin is not right. So it's understandable to me. I just wish he wouldn't throw those kind of passes because, I don't mind a risk throw into coverage because DBs drop passes all the time. I mean, it's comical sometimes how they drop.
Well, that's why they're DBs and not wide receivers.
Exactly. But those type of plays, just backbreakers. But I was interested that LaFleur would say, I'll never question him. At some point, he might have to say, yes, we need to curtail that. And that even Jordan Love knows we got to curtail those kind of plays. But at least last night, he was not in the mood for that. Let me run you through the drives, because this was a great summation by Andy Herman from Pack-A-Day Podcast. He says, drive 1, Nixon penalty, Jacobs false start, Brooks drop, 3 points. Drive 2, Ryan false start, punt. Drive 3, Morgan holding, Dobbs false start, Kraft drop, missed field goal, no points. Drive 4, Love pick, -7. Drive 5, end of half. Drive 6, Wicks drop, punt. Drive 7, Love missed throw to Watson, bad snap, field goal. Drive 8, Tom false start, Watson misjudged throw, bad snap, Wicks drop, touchdown, stuffed on 4th and 1, no points. Drive 9, no big mistakes, and guess what? Touchdown.
Yeah.
That's the game right there, isn't it?
You got to be clean. You've got to be clean. The Packers receivers were charged with 6 drop passes. Jared Goff, 4 incompletions, period. If you look at the sheet, the Lions were clean. They were clean. And that's what That's why they won the game the way they did. And
How
by
much
the way,
do you
people were thinking that being outdoors for the first time was going to affect the Lions. Let me tell you something about teams that play like Detroit plays. Their style of play, and I said this before the game on the air, their style of play translates. It travels. Indoors or outdoors, it doesn't matter.
And what's their
weather
style,
is not
Wayne?
going to affect the Lions.
What is their style in your eyes? I'm
Their
curious.
style is just basic, down your throat, smash mouth football, both sides of the game.
Fundamental football.
They're very
Bill-
similar
yeah.
to San Francisco last year when San Francisco was in its heyday. That's what Detroit is. The way they run the ball, the way they throw the ball, the way they defend, they are the quintessential team that can play on any surface. And that you can't say that about all teams.
Can you say that about the Packers?
I think so. But, I remember back in 2010 with McCarthy when they had to go on the road in the playoffs and play that divisional playoff game in Atlanta. We were thrilled to be inside a dome because that's the kind of offense the Packers had. They were better on the carpet than they were outdoors because the way they played offense. I think this Packers team's a little different with Josh Jacobs. Yeah, you can go into the mud bowl and splash away. Yeah, you can. Sure, you can. The Packers can play indoors or outside.
Wayne, here's my frustration, and it seems like it's been the case under Matt, and I don't think it's all Matt, but you have to stop it. The penalties and the care, like it's just carelessness. It's the standard is it's at some point it's being allowed. Do you know what, like, and that's where you have to look at and I don't know how you fix it. But
what's LaFleur supposed to do, Butchie? Bench guys that commit false starts in practice?
Well, if you look at the difference between what Detroit did and what the Green Bay Packers did, what was one of the biggest differences?
They played more solid fundamental football. But what is
do you think that Dan Campbell allows that?
I don't know. This is where you'd have to tell me because you're an athlete
Wayne.
who played with coaches. How do coaches get accountability
I'll tell you
to
this.
clean up mistakes?
I know one thing. We didn't have a lot of mistakes under Bo Ryan. Why? Because Bo never allowed it.
Did he make you run gassers? Do gassers work?
It wasn't gas. You didn't
Up
play.
Downs.
You didn't play. Zay.
Okay, but it's the NFL. You can't bench Dobbs because he committed a false start in practice.
No, but there is, and I that's what I'm saying. It's not all Matt because they took care of Romeo when Romeo acted up.
I know, but just little things.
Well, but at some point, it's the standard that's set within those four walls. And again, I didn't play football, but I know what you do on the basketball court. It's a lot easier because there's only 4 guys that play, or 5 guys that play, on the basketball floor. But Wayne, when you look at this team and you look at the errors that they continually have game after game, how do you fix it?
It's a trend right now. I mean, What can you say? 9 games, 77 penalties, okay? They're averaging, about 8.5 penalties a game and 54 penalty yards per game.
Yeah, it's terrible.
To a certain point, and again, all penalties not created equal, but Keyshawn Nixon, 30-yard kickoff return. Packers have it to start the game at their 40-yard line. The chances of scoring when you start a drive at the 40-yard line are exponentially higher than if you start at the 20 or the 15 or the 25.
And then what happened?
After
those that didn't see it, what happened?
Commits one of these emotional penalties. I get it. He's an emotional guy and all that.
Deep inside the Lions bench area.
You can't afford that. There have been 5 penalties of unsportsmanlike conduct or unnecessary roughness for the Packers. There have been 30 pre-snap penalties offensively on Green Bay. They had 4 of them yesterday or thereabouts. Those are you're handicapping yourself. And I know the coaches are there. This is a good coaching staff, and they're trying to get that message across.
And I'm not saying they weren't right. I don't know how you fix it at some point.
I feel, Butchie, there's a couple ways coaches can do it. One is obviously if you have another guy who could play, then you maybe say it to a guy, you bench him, or you cut down his snaps dramatically. I think the other way is to find a point in which you do call him out in the media, professionally, at the podium. There is podium pressure coaches can apply to players, I believe, when they stand up and they say, we can't have that. That's unacceptable. And I think LaFleur said something.
It can't be the first time, though.
No, I'm just saying
it's got to be brought up in meetings. It's got to be brought up enough.
I think good coaches know when it's time to apply some podium pressure. Didn't LaFleur say something about Keyshawn's penalty to start the game? I'm trying to recall if I heard that driving home or not.
Yeah, he said it was something about, you just can't have that kind of penalty. I mean, you just can't. It's a play penalty. You've made your mark. You've 30-yard return.
You've done what you've done.
We're in good shape. 8 penalties in the first half, guys. And, in the game, I believe, what was it? 4 or 5 pre-snap penalties, 4 false starts, and 3 fumbles. They recovered all 3 fumbles. Okay, great. But you know what? You recovered the fumble. You just burned a play. And
I know.
so it's not a positive, boys and girls.
Yeah.
You lost probably 3 or 4 yards, and now it's 3rd down or 2nd down type of thing. So, these are things that we've seen the Packers go through. They've been able to play above it in some cases, but against the good teams they have played this year, Philadelphia in the opener, Minnesota when they came in here, and now the Detroit Lions, whom I happen, and I said this before the game, and I said it on your show Friday, they're the best team in football, bar none, including Kansas City. And boy, that game looks like they hung in there, but really Detroit was in control of that ball game once they got the pick 6, and that changed that game irrevocably. And then, that was tough. That really was tough.
Let's talk wideouts for a second. I believe that it's nice to have flexibility and depth and all that stuff. And no, we don't need a WR1 because everyone could be at any given week. I still believe, Wayne, that at some point you have to have a roadmap about how your passing game runs. Who does it run through and who does what? And I don't think they have that sorted out right now. And somebody made a very good point, which is, look, Christian Watson's healthy. He can't be a glorified MVS. He cannot just be a glorified clear route guy. He's too good. You can throw it to him in intermediate routes and let him bust it for big ones. So he needs to get more involved. Wicks's hands are such a problem now that as much as I love him, he cannot be trusted at this point. So what would you suggest is a good way to sort out their wide receiver room? Sort it out.
I can't agree with you more on Christian Watson. He's so much a better player than MVS ever was or ever will be because he can run the whole route tree, as you pointed out. He does have excellent hands, and yes, they need to get him involved. I would say that's the one thing I would say there. Wicks, they have tried to get him on track as he was at the end of last year. He was such a good force at the end of last year, but he has 6 drops. The Packers have 22 drops. He has almost a third of the drop passes for the Packers this season. And again, drops are subjective. I get it. I understand. So maybe the coaches have a different number. Maybe it's higher. Maybe it's lower. I don't know.
The end zone drop where the pass was clearly behind him as he's screaming on a crossing route, that to me was 50-50. That's a hard ball to catch. The ball hits you in the hands.
You got to
catch it in the rain, and he's like this.
You can give me every excuse possible. What's your job? Your job is an NFL wide receiver. If it hits you in the hands, catch the ball.
I don't care.
This is not college. This is not college.
Okay, all right.
Wide receivers make tough catches every day in all conditions, and I know that if Wicks was on our program with us right now, he'd say, I should have had that one.
I know. Yeah. Did you see the Devontae Smith catch in the Eagles game in the back of the end zone? Oh, my God.
How about the Wilson catch in the Jets game?
That's another one as well. Yeah. Okay. All right. Continue.
No, I'm just saying, hey, listen, I do think what they'll try to do is they'll do a lot of self-scouting in this week off now. They will come back with a comprehensive plan. It'll be a little bit different. I'm sure there'll be points of emphasis that'll be different. But I do know this. They've got to clean up the way they play the game. The penalties, even some of the turnovers, obviously. Now, here's another thing about the defense played admirably. They gave up 17 points yesterday. The Lions only had 261 yards. Their longest play was a pass play of 20-some yards. So the defense played admirably. But two things about the defense. Was there consistent pressure on Jared Goff? And did they force turnovers?
No.
Those are the two things they need to find a way to do. They must
more
find
mayhem.
a way to create.
More mayhem up front is definitely what you need.
That must happen. And and I understand they've had 19 turnovers or whatever. But in the last, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 3 games, they've got like 2 turnovers, if I'm not mistaken. So this is where consistency of pressure. The good defenses consistently pressure the quarterback. This defense plays admirably. I really like the way they play, and I think they're capable of more. But that's something, Hafley and his staff will look it over in this bye week, and they're going to come out with some different wrinkles in Chicago in a couple of weeks. And I have every anticipation that this second half of the season is going to be much better than the first. And the first wasn't bad at 6-3.
Yeah, the first wasn't bad. Exactly. You're still sitting there at 6-3, like you sit right. Like you're still 6-3.
Well, if you want, Butchie,
with
once
your
we hang up
quarterback,
with
your
Wayne,
quarterback injured enough.
I know. Once Wayne is out of here, we can do the win-loss rest of the way if you want to do that. Play that game.
Hey, I'm on board for whatever you like to. Hey, I'll play the games. Let's do it.
All right, we'll talk to you. Are we talking to you Friday? It's a bye week. So what's Wayne doing on his bye week?
I am out of town.
Okay, good. Get out of town.
What are you doing?
None of your business.
Oh, my
Wayne,
goodness.
As always, thank you, my friend.
All right, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Couple of weeks, yeah,
take
whenever.
care.
All right, our conversation with Wayne brought to you by Steam Fitters Local 601 and the National Fire Sprinklers Association. $2024. Sorry, let me get the right link up here.
Oh my gosh.
All right, well, I thought I could do it real quick here.
There's nothing quick about this.
Okay, you ready?
Do you want the printable schedule too?
I should have.
PDF,
Okay.
yeah.
Bears win.
Mhm.
Niners loss. Miami win.
Oh,
At
Thanksgiving.
Detroit
okay.
loss.
Oh.
Seattle win.
3-2.
You're counting all these, Luddy. You're the
I
counter.
go 2-3. We differ there. I think they lose at Seattle, but go ahead.
New Orleans win.
Yeah, they're terrible.
At Minnesota win. That's the game of the season. Then home against Chicago win.
6-2.
Love it.
There's no way
Love
in HE double hockey sticks that they're going 6-2. You are got to
Seattle is swirling the drain. New Orleans is literally dead. Minnesota's overrated. The Bears are the Bears. Miami with Jellyhead, he ain't gonna last by November 28th. I'm sad to say it. He's played good.
They
the
just
last
lost
couple
on a
of games.
61-yard field goal to the Bills in Buffalo.
All right, so fine. 6-2's unrealistic.
I think so.
5-3.
5-3. We can have a conversation.
11-6.
Should get
Wrap
to the
it up.
playoffs.
Totally in the playoffs. Let's go. All right, Mark. We're going to talk to our friend Mike Heller coming up next as we roll on. Keep your text coming into the NicoletLaw.com talking text line 877-79 All right, let's start fighting. Mike Keller joins us now. You'll hear him noon to 3 on his own show right here on The Game. Do you want to know when we left yesterday? I know that's always a big thing with you, the leaving early.
Yeah,
like
I don't.
to know?
I mean, I don't care. I know it was before the kickoff of the third quarter.
Yeah, you knew that. How did you know that?
I just know stuff, Steve.
Spies. Knowing
I got
things
people.
You got people. Yeah. Well, the ale coin was in my pocket, and people must misunderstand this coin that I made.
No, they
it's
don't.
only. It's
It's only ale.
no.
It's only ale.
No, it's
Yeah.
not. The other
What?
side says stay.
No way.
Yeah, that's the point
It's
of
not
the
how
ale
you're
coin
supposed to
is
stay.
if you're
But it's weighted to only ale. You know, it's
It's never come up. It's come up stay like once ever.
well, the thing is, it's only in case you're torn between should I stay
Sure.
or should I
Yeah.
go.
There was
And
no
you should-
Terry
there
yesterday.
was
Well,
no, yeah.
right, exactly. And so you should never let it get to the point where you have to flip a coin. Should I stay or should I go?
Yeah,
It's a
and
Sunday night game, late start, rain, gold package. Are you kidding me?
Did
and
you
they're
stay?
losing.
Did you stay for the pass to Jaden Reed that ended the first half? Did you see
Nope.
that, or were you in the concourse?
No,
So
we
after the pick six, you were exiting.
at the 2-minute warning, I said to my wingman, Jason Ottom, Sunburn Bowl MVP, let's go. And he did not hesitate because he was miserable. He was not wearing Gore-Tex.
So
He
you
had
didn't see the pick six.
no. We saw it on the Johnsonville
Yeah,
Brats.
it doesn't count. You
television.
can't do
Well,
that.
it doesn't
No,
matter.
that's
Fine.
not- no.
Look, it only
Well,
reaff-
I mean,
it only
you're not
reaffirmed
gonna
we made the
argue
right
with me on
choice.
that. Yeah.
We're sitting there going, thank God we were not sitting there soaking wet, pissed off, looking at that play coming to our own end zone, because that was to the end zone where we were sitting.
You know,
Yeah.
I've said this many, many times that my least favorite place to watch a Packers game or a Badger game, although I don't have to do with the Badgers, is the press box. So in the Badgers games, I'm in the broadcast booth, which is open air with Matt LePay and Tauscher and the crew, right? For Packers games, I'm in the press box, and I think it's the worst place to watch the game. However, yesterday,
Being
I was
outside
glad I
was even
in the
worse
press
than
box
that, yeah.
because yesterday was miserable outside.
You miss so much of what's going on and the announcers and the context and the tight zoom ins and the coaches' faces, players' faces, the analysis, Mike Pereira chiming in. I mean, I didn't hear any of that firsthand yesterday on the broadcast. I'll hear it today when I watch the full recap on my NFL Plus app. But yeah, it's not ideal. But I applaud the fans who are out there soaking like the rest of us.
Do you guys really rewatch the games?
I will, because there's a condensed version. 30-minute condensed on NFL Plus. You got to pay $99 a year. You would never spend that kind of money on it, Butchie, because
I like how he thinks I'm cheap, Heller, but go ahead, continue.
Not that I think
Yeah,
you're cheap. I think you're
I
frugal. Cheap is a ad hominem word that is negative in connotation. Frugal means you're smart about your money. You're frugal.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay for stuff that's not
Which
necessary.
I think that's the accurate description of Brian Butch. I will rewatch the elements that I think I need to rewatch. So, like a couple of weeks ago, when Wisconsin got beat by Penn State, I thought it was really critical the plays that they called before the pick six by Braden Locke in their own end in the third quarter, because I thought offensively they put him in a terrible spot. And then to throw it on third down after they lost yards to rush on play one and play two. So I want to rewatch that set of circumstances so I can speak to it and actually know that I'm speaking to something that happened.
Yeah, okay.
I thought
I'm not rewatching this Packer game. I'm just completely honest.
That's fine. Nobody's
terrible.
asking you to.
Mistakes.
You got a game tonight, by the way. Wisconsin Holy Cross
I
to
do.
kick off the official basketball season at the Kohl Center.
This is like the second best day in the whole calendar year, by the way.
Are you excited? You excited for tonight?
Absolutely. College basketball's here. Let's go.
Which one's the best?
Tonight, the game?
If this is the
You
second
said the
best.
second best.
So what is the best?
Christmas Day. There's nothing better than Christmas Day.
So really, like this, the opening night of college basketball against Holy Cross for you is better than like the Big Ten tournament game.
Oh,
against
yes. Oh, yes.
Oh,
I
boy.
get to get rid of all the talking heads. I get to get rid of all the people that think what's going to happen. No. Let's just play. Let's get this thing going. Let's get on the bike and let's get ready for.
I know, Butchie. I've been waiting for Holy Cross since the tournament.
See, you worry about that, but
game
that's the
circled
difference.
for a long time.
You guys are worried about the opponent. For me, there's nothing better than it actually tipping off and it
Well,
meaning something. I can
the
get rid
start
of
of-
all the garbage.
Yeah, opening day in Major League Baseball is that for me. So I get it. I'm not
See,
ridiculing you. I just
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
This is a good topic. So I'm going to change the one word just to be specific. What's the most joyous day on the sports calendar for you? So don't commingle Butchie Christmas, which has all the feels of a happy childhood mixed in with it. As a sports day, what is the most joyous? I don't want to say best because best implies it's got to have high profile blockbuster games. What makes you the happiest? For Mike, it's opening day in baseball. For me, I would probably say Thursday of the Masters, but I always feel the happiest on Black Friday because there's football on TV and you're in the holiday season fully.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a day that I think is my most joyous sports day. What about you guys?
I would say opening day of college basketball.
So
I would-
today's
today,
rainy,
yeah.
stupid Monday against a cupcake
Oh.
opponent that you hope you don't lose to. By the way, what's the line in the game?
I haven't looked.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
you
gonna
know,
look.
Just because it's starting, Brian. I get that.
Oh, but
point.
it's
Just-
now,
opening
I
day
will
for you
say
in
this.
baseball is it for you, right, Mike? That's
Yeah,
when your
I-
heart springs
I
into
think
life.
so. As a sports viewer, I think it's
Yeah.
either the wild card weekend or the divisional round in the NFL. because
Really?
There's just not a day or days on the calendar that are more anticipated and
Okay.
more fun-filled as a sports fan viewing on TV.
You know
Like
what I
that's-
feel like during those weekends? Yes, they're fun because there's football games, but a lot of them are duds, and it's post holidays, and you're in the dead of winter. So it's
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
bone ass cold and kind of depressing, and you know that spring is a long way away. So I'm not as joyful of those
just
games.
take
per
that
se.
late. Just take those late January weekend days and take the football away. And
I know.
think how
Right. Welcome
depressing
to
it would be
February.
then.
Oh, it gets
Yep.
worse. Oh, I can assure you it gets worse. Yes. Buddy.
Badgers favored by 25.5 over Holy Cross.
Okay.
Over
Holy
under
cross.
140.5.
Better
But,
not
but
lose
it's
this
not
one.
just it's not just Wisconsin. Like the Big East has their Big East round table that they're going to have all those games playing. You've got Texas, Ohio State that's going to be on TBS at about 10 o'clock tip. I mean, there's a game that tips off at 11 o'clock on the Field of 68 YouTube channel.
You better
Oh,
buy more
that
TVs.
planet. Like,
Buy
I'm
more
telling you right
TVs.
now, like you name it, there's a game on, and we're going to be paying attention to it. So,
All right. So on the Packer game, Mike, I want your quick recap. I would say this: that is, there sometimes games don't have a lot of meaning to them. It just is what it is. There was not a lot I would extrapolate from this game. Played the best team in football, gave a C- effort, lots of mistakes, drops, penalties. They lost. What'd you think was going to happen? We're moving on to the bye week. I'm not going to make any broad statements off of yesterday's game.
I would actually be more encouraged about yesterday's game with one caveat.
Encouraged?
Yeah, because I think they made a bunch of mistakes. Mistakes can be fixed. If they played that team and they can't compete, now I'm worried.
Got it.
They played that team and they can absolutely hold up against the Detroit Lions. But you got to stop making dumb mistakes. And the quarterback's got to stop making dumb mistakes. And he's been making them. And yesterday's post-game press conference with Jordan Love, it's a lot of interception conversation, and he started to get tired of it.
Yeah.
And I
Good.
get it.
Good.
But
I'm glad he's getting
stop-
tired of it.
You got to
'cause
stop doing it.
I want to see his coach put a little lean on him at this point. I do want some turning of the spigot to go, okay, let's
most of
start
them-
making better decisions.
Most of them are out of system plays for Jordan Love. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them are when he rolls out of pressure and does something, he's making bad decisions. Now remember, it's not the same guy, but remember, I think he led all of college football in interceptions his last year at Utah State.
I'm pretty sure you're right there.
Yes.
So he does have this in his DNA, but he's got to be better at it. You cannot continue to do what he's doing and giving the ball away. And I know he's only got 2 career pick sixes, but come on.
All right.
Got it.
So
We were talking with Wayne about this. The turnovers, the penalties, the undisciplined play. And I said, at some point, you have to look at your head coach and say, this is the standard that we're allowing versus Detroit. Like Dan Campbell, you can look at them and say, hey, he doesn't allow.
Don't do it.
So you, so then tell me why. Then tell me why it's happening all the time, because it has cost this team games.
Are we talking about the extracurricular? Because
No.
Detroit had more of those yesterday
No.
than Green Bay did.
I'm talking about the false starts.
false
I'm
starts,
talking about
yeah.
the penalties like that. That just shouldn't
Yep.
happen.
Yeah, and I don't know what you do on those, honestly, Brian. I mean, you played, and basketball is going to be
But I
different.
didn't play
Yeah.
football. Like basketball is pretty
right.
simple, right? There's five guys on the floor. You got a bench. Hey, get your tail out of here. I'm putting the next guy. That's a simple solution. So
they are unacceptable. But the Keyshawn Nixon thing, I mean, that's Detroit does that too. I mean, yesterday was going to have those moments. Keyshawn can't have it, is what you're going to say at the end. But both teams were guilty because that game had extra juice to it, with Amon-Ra walking in with Green Bay sucks on his sweatshirt. And I mean, that's just
But
the
this
way
isn't the first
this
year
is gonna
Green
be.
Bay's had these careless
Correct.
penalties.
Yep.
I mean, this is now something that's carried over after a couple of years under Matt LaFleur, correct?
Yeah, I have more of an issue on the false starts, and I don't know from a coaching standpoint, how you get better there. You need to be better. I don't know. I just don't know the process.
All right, can we get into the Bucks for a second? Because
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't think it's worthy on this night in which they play the Cavaliers to avoid going to 1-6 and putting more logs on the burning fire that is blow this team up, trade Giannis?
Yeah, I think that old mantra, the cliche that you have in sports, that you can't win. Like I think of it in baseball, you can't win a division in April, but you can lose it. I still think that. I mean, I don't think we're worried that the Bucks are a playoff team when you are, when
Really?
when it's November 4th. I don't think you're worried as to whether the team is going to be a playoff team.
You don't think the Bucks are in crisis right now?
Well, if you have this 5-game stretch and you put it in the middle of January, are you freaking out?
No, but that's if they already have a winning record.
Right.
And their team is right. Their team is not right. I believe they're in crisis. I believe they have a crisis where they got to bench two guys who are fan favorites, who are playing way too many minutes. They don't have any draft picks. They got no wiggle room to make a trade for any of these guys. Talking about trading Lopez, great idea, sort of, kind of, but he has no value. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anyone back. And you're stuck with this team that is going to be a 500 team at best. And everyone wants 34, and they're coming for him. And ESPN's pushing this big narrative. I think it's a crisis, but maybe I'm reading it wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. I just don't think it's a crisis today. I think it's a crisis in 10 days or 2 weeks.
Okay.
This is like knowing you have a water leak in a pipe and you're not going to fix it, and you're going to let it leak for 2 weeks, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it's going to be more expensive to fix. That's what the Bucks have been dealing with.
Right.
Bobby Portis has been needed to be off this team for a long time.
Yes.
And I have been the only one. I feel like the only one to finally do this for 2 or 3 years.
You are owed
I was ahead of it.
apologies and kudos. You were on that square before it was even popular. And you were seen as some kind of jealous lunatic that your
Correct.
career in the NBA did not turn out the way that Bobby's did. Okay? But now everyone is seeing what you've been seeing and saying for a long time. And yeah, I mean, Giannis is wide open and he's there busy backing down like he's Akeem Olajuwon in his prime for an ISO shot. Like, what are you doing, bro?
I just think it's scary. To me, the two things that are scary is when Giannis comes up and says, well, we don't know we don't know how we're going to win.
Right.
That's coaching by Giannis. Like, you don't know how you're going to win. You don't know what the identity is. Like, that's what you do during the preseason. Granted, preseason isn't that long, but like the first thing you talk about is this is what we're going to be. Like, you at least know who you're going to be. And then Dame saying, well, I've normally been the guy with the ball in the hand. And I like, your two superstars don't know who they are, what they're going to do to score the basketball, and Dame, and they don't know what kind of team they are. Yeah, I think we're going to have a great season. Let's go, boys.
Butch, as much credit as John Horst gets and should have gotten when they acquired Drew Holiday and won an NBA title, it's equally fair to be just as critical of the Dame acquisition and the roster makeup as
On Horst?
today. Yes.
No, that's a Giannis purchase. Giannis wanted Griffin. Giannis wanted Dame. Horst just was the delivery man. He was the Uber Eats guy to go get those deals done.
Player personnel is not John Horst's job.
It is, but sometimes these guys, as you know, Mike, they have to cater to the superstar.
No, they don't have to, Steve.
Or what? Quit?
No.
So
You have to do your job. And
Which
John
is what?
Horst had to do his job.
Tell Giannis no? And then
Yeah.
Jimmy Haslam comes in and says, no, you got to take care of this guy because he'll leave otherwise.
Yeah. And Jimmy's got a great track record.
Did Jimmy, trust me, things have gone badly since he's come on board. Not blaming him per se.
I don't
but I'm
know
just
this,
saying.
guys. I don't know this, but that's where I am interested in how much has ownership put their fingerprint on this recently. It feels like ownership and front office has put their fingerprint on this more than
It's a
ever
fair
before.
question.
It's not their
Butch.
fingerprint. It's our star player wanted these two things. And then he
I
got
think
sick of the
both
new
can be
coach
true.
that he wanted, and they fired him. Doc is here, I don't want to say reluctantly, but not like this is his dream job. He's getting paid $7 million to do it. Dame never wanted to be here, and he's trying to make a go of it. Now he doesn't know what his role is. He sees his career starting to come into the final minutes of his, NBA. I mean, it's
Messy.
It's not good.
And
then
it's not trending in the right direction at all because you don't have the players to change it.
they need to drop anchor. A win tonight would really go a long way. It's a big thing of baking soda on a grease fire right now. It'll tamp the flames down for now. They lose tonight and they lose going away. Don't turn on ESPN tomorrow.
No,
Just
they need
saying.
to get one of those fire blankets. Though. Those things are good, man.
Those are
Just in
good.
case
Oh,
you got
yeah, you
grease
got one of
fire,
those?
put that. I know. I saw an info commercial.
Okay,
And
yeah.
I'm thinking about buying
Get
one.
one.
Though.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
thinking
think
about
it.
it.
Just do it.
You got one?
No.
Oh.
He avoids
Hey,
fires.
look, we made Mikey laugh today.
Yeah,
but
attaboy.
yeah, hey.
All right. As always, Mr. Heller, pleasure today, noon to 3. We'll hear your whole run of your opinions. Thank you, my
Sounds
friend.
good. All right. See you guys.
Okay, got a banger. Let's